There's outrage across the country this morning after hundreds of koalas were found dead or injured because of logging in Victoria's southwest. Let's go now to Today Melbourne reporter Christina Hearn. And Chris, when was this horrific discovery made?
Ali, wildlife volunteers were on scene yesterday trying to save dozens of surviving koalas. It is feared up to 500 koalas were killed when this blue gum plantation was logged in Cape Bridgewater, so that's near Portland in the state's southwest. Here is what one of those on scene had to say.
Australia should be ashamed of this.
Every person around the world would be horrified to learn that in the midst of the bushfires and loss of life that we've had there for wildlife, that someone could actually undertake a deliberate act that would see these animals killed.
Now, the forestry industry disputes this version of events. They say that the forestry contractor who logged the plantation last November followed all the strict wildlife protocols, but the remaining trees were then subsequently logged. An investigation is now underway. Those responsible could be prosecuted. Ali.
The reported deaths of hundreds of koalas prompted Helen Oakley's emotional Facebook post.
They bulldozed 140 acres down and just killed all of their koalas.
The blue gum logging plantation west of Portland was harvested last year. Bulldozers have recently been clearing the property.
There's koalas lying there dead. Mothers killed and only little babies.
A Friends of the Earth spokesman claims at least 500 koalas have been killed.
We need a team of investigators to go into that site right now.
The systems haven't worked and there's been an unnecessary death of our much-loved koala.
Federal Greens Senator Sarah Hanson-Young is calling for an urgent independent investigation. Local Greens want Premier Andrews to ban logging altogether.
We've had a horrendous bushfire season that's killed so much wildlife. I cannot believe he's allowing logging to continue.
Geelong-based company Midway has confirmed it was involved with logging the plantation late last year and complied with all government regulations to protect koalas. It's since handed back the land to a local farmer who's been responsible for clearing it to sow pastures. Victoria's chief conservation regulator is investigating and says those responsible will receive heavy penalties.
Australia should be ashamed of this.
Karen O'Sullivan, 7 News.
Well, just a warning, some viewers may find these pictures confronting. There's outrage tonight over the death of scores of koalas following a logging operation in Victoria's southwest. It's alleged blue gum trees on a property in Portland were felled by the landowner late last year, with the dead and dying animals only discovered in the past week.
Look at the destruction that they've done. And there's koalas lying there dead. Mothers killed and only little babies. Australia should be ashamed of this.
Well, Helen Oakley is a resident nearby and posted that emotional clip on social media and joins us now. Helen, can you describe what the situation is like down there?
It's a lot of devastation, a lot of angry people in Portland. It's really divided a lot of people as well, a lot of blaming. It's been pretty distraught time for me.
Helen, you're just a resident, you're not a journalist, you're not paid to investigate things like this. As you said in your video just then, Australia should be ashamed of this. But is it a worry that the only reason we even know about it is because you happened to post the clip?
Yeah, that concerns me a lot because there are a lot of people involved in conservation in different departments who obviously drive past that property and obviously have seen it and done nothing about it.
Helen, in a statement, the company behind this says, quote, they left an appropriate number of habitat trees for the existing koala population. It is understood that subsequent to South West Fibre completing its work, the remaining trees have since been cleared. Is that a good enough explanation for you?
No, I really don't know a lot about the actual logging company. All I do know is that word came to me that there were koala spotters, the appropriate number of trees, which I think is 9 plus the koala tree, were there. However, once the spotters go, then it's sort of open slather.
Helen, this is obviously devastating and we don't want to see anything like this happen again. What do you want to see happen from here?
I'd like to see some sort of legislation, maybe where the government are involved in actually controlling what the landowners do, not just, sitting back and watching this devastation happen to our natural habitat. People are up in arms at the moment about the loss of koalas in the fires, yet we have, 70 plus live koalas in a fenced enclosure with no food and no water. It's just horrible, and the destruction and finding little koalas was pretty daunting.
Well, Helen, I know you've certainly had an impact on everyone in Australia. We certainly want to investigate this story further. We really appreciate you sharing the vision with all of us and your time tonight. Thanks, Helen.
Thank you.
And in a statement, the Victorian Environment Department said the conservation regulator is currently investigating this matter with the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. If this is found to be due to deliberate human action, we expect the conservation regulator to act swiftly against those responsible.